right, good morning, karibu sana. It is the 10th of February 2025, a very bright Monday morning right here on Morning Cafe. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. Karibu sana.
My name is Ann Odida. Karibu sana. It has been a dramatic week, last week.
And even the weekend. Even last night was still dramatic.
We are expecting more this week.
Oh yes, what a busy week to look forward to. Yes, it is the week of love.
Yes.
Valentine's Day coming up. Kamoja jipanga na mpoa wako, by the way, you still have a few hours. Jipange tafadhali.
Anza sahi.
Do something.
Usipofanya leo,
especially the ladies, do something for your girl. Please.
We will.
Si kila saa tu ati ni wewe recipient.
At least for me, mine is sorted.
I know how you play.
Even you're sorted. Ukiwa kando yangu, you're sorted.
All right. All right, away from matters love, this week members of Parliament return after 2 months recess to a lot of work, including confusion on who's minority, who's majority.
But Galmeli ashasema, I'm the majority whip at further notice.
So we'll have to wait and see what will happen. Plus, it is a big week for the AUC chairperson's election coming up on the 15th. That will be on Saturday.
Actually, starting on the 12th.
That's a summit.
Yes. The appointment and nomination of the commissioners that now will pave the way for the 15th.
Yes.
Yes. So these commissioners will now oversee the main election. Akina Raila Amolo Odinga, the one who, yes.
So by the end of this week, a lot will have happened. Either utakuwa umeachana na mpoa wako, ama mapenzi itakuwa imezidi. Tutajua kama baba ni baba wa Afrika au vipi. All right.
Correct.
So let's take a look at what's the big headline this morning, and we start off with the papers associated with the Nation Media Group, because they're still focusing on the passing on of His Highness the Aga Khan. Kwaheri, and that's the front page of the Daily Nation, the entire front page. Kwaheri, His Highness the Aga Khan, and showing the very final picture as the body of the late Aga Khan is being taken into the mausoleum in Egypt for his final interment. That's the Daily Nation.
Taifa Leo, same case, Safiri Salama Aga Khan, wanasema pale Taifa Leo.
All right. The Standard has a very interesting headline, Unpresidential Ruto. That's the big headline on the front page of the Standard. We'll come back to take a look at what is so unpresidential about our president.
People Daily, why Weta has egg on his face.
Oh,
Aibu.
Hatajificha wapi. Pain of retirees waiting for the elusive pension. That's a big headline on the Star. And finally, matters business.
Dead man signed off Cusco account in 13.3 billion shillings fraud.
Kuna watu wanaingiza pesa kweli kweli. All right, so these are the local headlines, and we'll be back to take a look at them in depth. Let's focus now on what else we have prepared for you on the show. Starting at 6:30 this morning, we'll have two senators in studio. That's Joe Nyoto of Moranga and Danson Mungatana of Tana River, alongside Dr. Mumbingaru, former MP, East Africa Legislative Assembly. A very interesting discussion coming up. You better not miss that.
Right. Later on, Monday Blitz is coming after that. And then later after Monday Blitz, we'll be talking about youth empowerment, creating opportunities, inspiring change with Gloria Wawira, the CEO, National Youth Council. The
acting CEO.
Yes.
All right.
And then mitigating femicide, identifying the causes, warning signs and protective measures, of course, with Dr. Mutuma Ruture, CEO and Director of the National Crime Research Center.
These are conversations you don't want to miss. All right, let's take a look at what people are talking about in Kampala, Uganda this morning, and you start off with a new vision.
Why government is closing all HIV clinics. Now, over 3,000 caregivers rendered jobless. And this we all know. Kenya, over 35,000 workers of the USAID rendered jobless. Of course, 3 months leave unpaid. What else?
So these are just the effects of the withdrawal of, or the shutting down of the USAID by the US government. And we're already seeing, especially when it comes to HIV funding and the treatment for those living with HIV, that's a big story. The pandemic, HIV pandemic, especially in Uganda, has really lingered on beyond where Kenya was. So probably they'll be hardest hit by that move by the US.
Kabisa.
Down there, we still have discussions about the EAC joint summit with SADC on the Congo crisis.
We see presidents were East Africa Commission. President Yoweri Museveni is there. Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and it's so interesting. Tshisekedi did come. Alisema mimi mnipate virtual.
No, he showed up virtually.
He did. Virtually, yes. So EAC leaders call for ceasefire in DR Congo.
All right. So those are the big stories in Uganda as far as the New Vision is concerned. Still in Uganda on the Daily Monitor, of course, they give a lot of room to the news of the funeral of His Highness the Aga Khan as he was laid to rest in Egypt, the mausoleum of the Aga Khan family, and you can see the final picture there. This is a picture that is shared also with Taifa Leo and the Daily Nation here in Kenya. But away from that, they talk about NRM MPs refusing to take no for an answer. The ruling National Resistance Movement Party Parliamentary Caucus has been drafted to kickstart amendments to the Constitution and the UPDF Act 2005 to give legal force to military courts to try civilians again. So that back and forth on whether or not civilians should be arraigned before the General Court-Martial, which should be a military court, is still a big discussion there. So those are the stories that are making headlines in Uganda this morning.
Right.
Let's take a look at Tanzania.
Cable car plan draws a foreign local interest. Now, at least 5 French and Egyptian firms and several investors have expressed interest in investing in Tanzania's envisaged cable transport system. Tanzania wanafanya vizuri sana. Karibia in all sectors, right? Huku chini wanazungumzia Aga Khan and they say His Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan IV laid to rest in Egypt. All right, same story. Huku chini they say what's next after resolutions on DRC conflict. All right.
Big discussions there. They make mention of this story here, how Tanzania helped Namibia's Nujoma during independence struggle. And this is a former the Namibian president, Sam Nujoma, who passed on over the weekend. Wale walikuwa kitambo siku zetu. This was a very popular president, Sam Nujoma of Namibia.
Is he the first?
The first what?
The first president of Namibia.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yes. So that's a citizen in Tanzania. Remaining in Tanzania, tuangazie gazeti la Mwananchi. Wanasema siri rushwa kuchafua uchaguzi. Mizizi na mianya inayochochea vitendo hivyo yawekwa wazi, kunradhi. Wadau wataka kuimarishwa mifumo ya uteuzi wa wagombea ndani ya vyama. TAKUKURU yataja mikakati yake. Sasa TAKUKURU ndo hatujajua ni nini, lakini tunajua wanaongea kuhusu party primaries as they get ready, as they prepare for the elections later on this year, the general elections. Shida sasa ni chama itakuchagua aje nini. Hapo ndo kuna shida. Similar problems to what we have in Kenya as well. Habari hii ya Aga Khan akizikwa maziko ya faraga
That's private, yeah?
Yes, private. Kule Misri. Sema jeneza lenye mwili wa mtukufu Karim Aga Khan wa 4 likiingizwa kwenye kaburi la baba yake Aga Khan wa 3. Sema mwili wake ulizikwa jana majira mjini Aswan nchini Misri. Na ni picha ya Ismaili. Right. Habari ya Sam Nujoma pia kifo chake imepewa kipaumbele kwenye gazeti hili. Wanasema Sam Nujoma ahitimisha enzi za wapigania uhuru Afrika. I think he was one of the only remaining freedom era presidents, Sam Nujoma. In the entire of Africa, I think after Mugabe, Sam Nujoma, that's it.
At 95, yeah?
Yes. Right. So these are the regional dailies, and we'll be back to take a look at the local ones in depth so that we see what we'll be discussing with my panelists come 6:30. But for now, let's come back to Nairobi and take a look at the traffic situation across the country. This morning, na ni kama umetufanyia ile kitu. So tutabidi tafute hapa tuone kama tapata
something for you.
Yes.
Even as you prepare to go about your day, utoke sasa hivi.
We'll be coming to take a look at the traffic situation. All right, and today we start off with Nairobi. 16 degrees Celsius as we speak, so it's a bit cool morning, but it promises to be slightly cooler. Slight cooling expected over the next 3 days. It's been a very warm weekend, rather hot. Unakunywa maji baridi ama whatever it is that you take, but cold.
It's still very warm.
Yes, it is. You see this, they show that partly cloudy, but believe you me, no cloud cover. It's clear skies throughout the day. So highs of 28 degrees, which is slightly warmer than we've been feeling. Yes. So Nairobi, expect warmer weather with zero chance of rainfall in Nairobi. Kakamega.
16 degrees as at now, still same weather, very comfortable, very warm. Highs of 30 degrees. Wanasema cloud cover throughout the day, but we'll see about that.
Cloud cover, I doubt it. In clear skies throughout.
Yeah. Precipitation, 0. No chances of rain in Kakamega.
All right. Twende Isiolo. Isiolo kulikuwa na joto. There was a lot of heat in Isiolo. Yes. Let's take a look and see if I told it's gone down. 19 degrees Celsius as we speak, which is quite warm. Promises to get as high as 32 degrees Celsius. So yes, joto Isiolo haijapungua.
Yeah.
Walipiga kelele.
Nasi joto tu.
I saw a piece of news saying that 43 youth had been arrested.
Oh yeah.
As at yesterday. And that number is expected to go higher. So bado joto inaendelea kule Isiolo.
Inaendelea.
Yes. Walikuwa nasema ati wamekuwa arrested sababu ya uraibu wa madawa ya kulevya. That's the reason they were arrested.
It wasn't about heckling.
No. Walisema it has to do with the drugs.
Oh,
yes.
They are under drugs.
Ya rais alisema kuna drugs mingi sana huko Isiolo na akasema hao vijana hawatatisha serikali.
All right.
So quite warm in Isiolo. Karatina kulikuwa na joto jana usiku.
14 degrees.
Imeshuka sana.
Highs of 26 degrees, jua throughout. Hapa hakuna mvua.
Hakuna mvua. Actually, I doubt there's any place in Kenya that's raining, but you never know. Let's take a look at Mombasa, probably something different.
All right.
26 degrees Celsius as we speak, where by midday it was going to be 32 degrees Celsius. This is extra hot in Mombasa.
Yeah.
Clear skies throughout the day.
Feels like 30.
Yes, feels like 30. So yes, it's quite warm in Mombasa. I guess throughout the nation, it's a warm day and week. Promises to be a hot week. It's only in Nairobi that they're saying it's going to be cooler over the next 3 days. So that's as far as the weather situation is concerned. Let's come back and take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi. Tuone kama munasikia joto as you try to get to work. All right, and there's a general map of the city, and we can see the trouble spots already building up. Areas around Pipeline, areas around the Eastern Bypass as you get close to Cabanas, as you head towards town. Manyanja Interchange, kuna shida pale. Makadara area along Jogoo Road heading towards town is a problem. City Stadium roundabout is building up. It's rare. This one doesn't usually build up at this time of day. Shida inakuanga huku nyuma, lakini you can see already it's building up at areas around Shauri Moi, just as you get to City Stadium roundabout. Areas around Haile Selassie Avenue, once you're done with Landis Road, also getting busy on both sides of the road, just as you get towards Marikiti area. The expressway is also building up, areas around Nyayo Stadium, Pale Kidogo, you see hapa, both sides of the road. I don't know what happens there. Capital Center also, but that's the exit. Areas around the exits and entry into the expressway are getting busy. Watu wanaingia town. All right, tumeangalia upande wa huku juu sasa.
Usual sports.
Usual trouble spot here, but you can see today it's even a bit busier after the interchange because this is Murang'a Road. After you exit that place here, usually hapa hakuna shida, but matatu mingi zinasimama hapo Guru Nanak. Alafu uliambiwa Guru Nanak ni hospitali, sio bus stop. Sasa nishukisha hapo Guru Nanak. And I guess that's a problem you're having here on Murang'a Road towards town. But pale Pangani Interchange, also a problem. A bit of a slowdown on the Utalii drifts as you head towards town as well. That's the traffic situation. Upande ule mwingine wa town, sioni anything major to report. So yes, that's the traffic situation as at this time of day, which is about 11 minutes past 6. Probably if we get time, we'll come back and take a look at the traffic situation later on.
All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day. The journey to success is not about racing to the finish line. It's about learning, growing, and evolving along the way. Take pride in the person you're becoming as you work toward your dreams.
And we forgot to take a look at one regional paper, the main regional papers. We're taking a look at the regional papers. This is the East African, and the main story there, it also gives a lot of prominence to the story about the funeral of the Aga Khan, His Highness the Aga Khan. They say, fare thee well, Aga Khan, a lifetime of service. And they've dedicated pages 3 to 7 on this story. But the main headline on the front page of the East African is SADC's dilemma on DR Congo mission. Remember, there was a summit, a joint summit between SADC and the East Africa community on Saturday in DRC, attended by all the leaders, including Tshisekedi virtually, Ramaphosa of South Africa, as well as Emerson Mnangagwa, who's the chairperson of SADC, was also present at the meeting. So Pretoria insists on soldiering on, even as Parliament piles pressure for the return of the armed forces following the killing of 14 officers in a clash with M23 rebels heading southwards. And I think this is the biggest casualty pile in this fighting, that one group, and that's the South African Army, suffered 14 casualties from that fighting alone.
The highest.
Yes, that's the highest. Yes, number of casualties. So this story remains, at least in the region, the biggest discussion, the crisis in the Congo. Let's come back and take a look at our papers locally.
People Daily, why Weta has egg on his face. And this is in regards to the court ruling on Friday that declared Kenya Kwanza in Parliament as the minority team.
Plus, he's facing also a personal challenge here.
Yes.
On his position as Speaker, vis-a-vis his position as leader of Ford Kenya.
Yes.
Ile chama ya Simba, ile chama ya Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, ile chama ya kina Inonda.
Inonda is our director. And you know, there's a question that you kept on asking. Anaenda aje na president as the speaker?
Exactly.
And you know, that question has been asked today in this newspaper.
How can the Speaker of the National Assembly accompany the president on a campaign trail?
Yeah.
Na simame juu ya gari kama wale wengine, na pewe microphone, aseme sisi kama Kenya Kwanza, and you're the Speaker of the National Assembly. Now, the chickens have come home to roost, and now he has egg on his face.
On his face. Akambiwa he's behaving like a Kenya Kwanza activist and not a Speaker of the National Assembly.
So what will happen? Will he defy the court? Is he able to defy the court? Because even ODM are very eager to occupy those positions as majority leader and majority whip. Hata kama wako kwa broad based. Watasema hapana, hata kama tuko kwa broad based. Hii kiti ni yetu, umesikia hata koti imesema, mtuachie tu, tutakaa na nyinyi broad based, lakini kiti ni yangu.
So Orengo told them as well.
How will he navigate through this? Now, it's when they call upon him to give what they call Solomonic
ruling.
Ruling.
Okay. Tomorrow is the day. We shall see.
How will he give a ruling on himself, on his own position? Egg on face.
Egg on face. All right. Ukukando blow to Kuppet top officials on age limit rule. Now, these ones, they want this age limit to be pushed past 60 so that they can be able to hold these positions that they are holding even after the retirement age.
Or for union officials?
Yes, for union officials. So they want that as Kuppet or union leaders, wakuwe members of parliament and wakuwe MCAs, so that they can still be affiliated with these unions.
We've seen at least two members. One member who's a top official of Kuppet is Mboko Milemba. Is actually a legislator. So maybe wanaona anakaa mzuri.
They want to go in as well. All right. Witnesses, KNTC lost 800 million shillings in a rice deal. Walisema hiyo pesa ilienda sababu Kenyan shillings.
Yeah, that's the same organization that was embroiled in the oil scandal. KNTC, Kenya National Trading Corporation.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Ex-CJ Maraga signals 2027 presidential ambitions. This is crazy, sababu. You know why they're saying this? They're saying Ati Maraga is an SDA. Yet jana, he went to an SCK church in Kibra and was interacting with those locals, the youth, and that he took a photo with them. Now that he could be signaling that anataka go for the top political seat.
Wow. But now these are two candidates who have sort of declared their ambitions for the presidency, coming from the same region.
Yes.
Former CS Fred Matiang'i, now CJ Maraga. Na kuna ule mwingine ule Morara Kibaso. Pia ni wa hiyo area. Hiyo maeneo wameamua lazima wakuwe president.
Interesting times.
Anyway, it's a reawakening for the larger Kisii community and the Kisii region. They call it South Nyanza. Yes.
We shall be there.
We shall be there no matter what. That's the People Daily. On the Daily Nation, of course, the whole front page dedicated to this news on the funeral of His Highness the Aga Khan, wanasema kwaheri His Highness the Aga Khan, a lifetime of service. And this is one image that I'm sure many will stick on the minds of many people who've been following the life and times of this great individual. This is a very last picture that anyone will get to see about this process, because this was a private ceremony attended by very few people, even very few members of his family. Not everyone was allowed into the mausoleum because of their faith and matters like that. So this is a very last picture because of, before the remains were interred. Yeah.
Special coverage on pages 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right. Nonetheless, this paper has a lot more stories because beyond page 5, and there are more photos inside, pages 2, 3, 4, 5, dedicated to this piece of news. But on the inside pages of the Daily Nation, there's a lot more news. Page 6, they talk about ODM not being in government, says Nyong'o, who's the acting party leader. Yes. So they finally held a meeting of the Orange Democratic Party, and the party leader came out and said, what are SG saying? You know, definitely now they've been buoyed by that court ruling, that ODM being the biggest party, even within the Azimio organization, definitely they get to benefit from the seat, of course, of the leader of majority, if at all they pursue it. So sahi broad-based, yumba. That story is there on page 6. Yes, how court ruling affects Ruto agenda in the House, also there on the page 7 of this paper. So yes, there are a lot more stories inside. Ruto's plot to import voters, rig 2027 election will fail. That's according to Kalonzo, and that story is on page 8. So definitely, even as you see this piece of news about the Aga Khan's funeral on the front page, most stories are on the inside pages.
Yes. Business Daily. Tumeingia mambo ya biashara haraka.
Haraka sana. Yule jamaa wa PNG ametupanga namna hii.
All right. Deadman signed off Kisco accounts in a 13.3 billion Kenyan shillings fraud. Top executives of Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives Limited, Cusco, forged the signature of a dead auditor to sign off cooked financial statements whose earners entries put 13.3 billion shillings belonging to depositors at risk of theft. Now we are signing, tuna forge ya watu wamekufa ya wafu.
Pesa inapita tu. Na hii ni pesa watu wamesave.
Interesting times.
Very sad.
Aga Khan laid to rest in a private ceremony in Egypt. And of course, we've talked about this. Not many people were allowed in there. On the ticker, Treasury raises to cut pension payout backlog. CBK orders 24 banks to table capital plans. And Airtel to open cash pay bills and tills to M-Pesa users. Now, this is interesting. Airtel Money cash tills and pay bills will be open for transactions by users on the rival M-Pesa platform from March. Wataweza kufikia M-Pesa kweli?
It's actually a positive for the clients.
Yes.
Because now you can use both platforms.
Yes. Kama mimi ni client sana hapo Airtel. Investors rush for T-bills before CBK rate cut hits. Now, investors in Treasury bills set off a new rush for the securities in the latest auction as they sought to lock in gains before rates fell further. That's the Business Daily today.
Right. Habari kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo ni habari ile. Aga Khan safiri salama, wanasema buriani. Mwanamfalme Karim Al-Husseini Aga Khan azikwa mjini Aswan, Misri, Februari 9 mwaka huu. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 3, na kuna picha ile pale karibu na mto Nile, mji wa Aswan kule Misri, ambapo alizikwa hapo jana. Alright. Gazeti la Taifa Leo hilo.
On the Standard, Unpresidential Ruto. Fiery words. President William Ruto's sharp tongue is causing ripples across the country, from branding critics stupid to invoking evil spirits. His rhetoric is drawing backlash from clergy, lawyers, and political analysts. Once seen as a PS leader, his unfiltered remarks now raise questions about leadership, tolerance, and statesmanship. Now, President William Ruto amekuwa Northeastern last week, and he has been caught saying a lot of many things. Mimi nimesoma. Hamwezi niambia kitu.
Wanasema alikasirika sana. Na akatumia matamshi But I saw the argument. They were saying, well, we had a president who used to use a lot of this. But people are saying, but that was an older man,
yes.
and you could not even take him seriously. And he was just doing it
for fun.
For fun.
I saw that too.
But this one is a bit piercing.
Yes.
When ukitoa hasira yako na tunajua uko na nguvu sana hivyo.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Amesema kiburi.
Unpresidential Ruto.
All right, on the top strip of the Standard, unsolved murders, country's long wait for coroner's service. All right. Now, a lot of families are crying for justice, you know. A lot of people have been killed. In January, February, we are still in February, and we are seeing a lot of murders. Remember the Mlolongo 4, only 2 have been found dead. We have the guy from Molo, Robert. Is it Robert?
Yes.
I think it's Robert
Otieno.
Otieno, yes. Yeye pia familia. The court said that there's no much evidence on the murder. A lot is happening. And the KNH murder as well on Friday. Wanasema CCTV hakuna, mara the CEO is saying there is a little bit of evidence on the CCTV. So you see, a lot of families are still crying. And jobs at risk of a Trump aid freeze, mambo ya USAID hapo bado. African leaders urge ceasefire at DRC talks. That story is on page 22. There was that meeting, the joint meeting between SADC and EAC on Friday and Saturday.
Right. So that's the Standard this morning. Or there's one story there. Pale chini.
From Ethiopia to South Africa, the dark web of JKIA smugglers. Now they say a human trafficking syndicate at JKIA has been exposed after 3 Ethiopians were smuggled through the airport with the alleged help of airline and immigration officials. The magistrate has questioned a botched investigation, raising concerns about high-level complicity in the illicit trade that exploits vulnerable migrants.
Right. So that's the Standard this morning. Tuangazie gazeti lingine, The Star. And they talk about the pain of retirees waiting for elusive pension. State says it's conducting fresh listing to streamline records. And this is what is causing the delay. The story is on pages 4 and 5 of The Star. Lost billions. 2019 census exposed at least 40,000 ghost pensioners. There are people who are earning money that should be for pensioners. Na wana aibu. That's a story on pages 4 and 5 of The Star. There's a picture there of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, his wife Mama Aida, who are playing host to the daughter of former Tanzania President John Pombe Magufuli, Jessica Magufuli. Jessica had paid a courtesy call to wish Raila well ahead of the African Union Commission chairmanship elections set for this weekend. Yes, it is big news. Na napata watu wakuja kumwambia tuko na wewe. Jitters in Weta party, as Azimio said, free to have majority slots. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula's Ford Kenya party reads an attempt to weaken the political outfit ahead of the 2027 general election in its latest wars. The party has said it would be heading to the Court of Appeal to challenge the ruling. So probably if they manage to do that, then the speaker might have some relief for a while. The full story is on page 2 of this paper. That's The Star.
Right.
Tuangazie makatuni. Tunaanza na hii ya The Star newspaper.
Let's address the elephant in the room. And of course, we see the president's caricatures of the presidents here. We see our very own President William Ruto hapo mbele. This is Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe. We see Samia Suluhu of Tanzania. And this one for Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. And pale juu, Paul Kagame of Rwanda saying, let's address the elephant in the room. And then hapa ndani is a caricature of Felix Tshisekedi.
You know, he appeared virtually, so he was on screen. So wamemweka kwa screen. Alafu huku nyuma endo amefura. So is he the elephant in the room? And then they're saying aloof.
Yes.
He's quite aloof. But he kusema yeye ndio elephant. Where, you know, he's gigantic.
I see what you did there.
Katuni si mzuri.
But you know, it could be true. Sababu Kagame pia amekuwa quoted saying something similar. Unatuwekelea na ni wewe uko na mzigo mkubwa.
He is the elephant in the room appearing on screen.
Yes.
Everyone else on one side. He is the elephant in the room. Amekuja sana hiyo katuni Star.
Ozo nako peke yake hapo.
Hiyo ni yeye peke yake. On The Star, And you have a caricature of the president ameshikilia sindano, anataka kudunga ng'ombe.
The Standard.
Ni kama, and the Standard, yes. Ni mwalimu, ako pale, ako na blackboard, amechora ng'ombe, anataka kudunga, kuvaccinate ng'ombe. Hapa ndo alisema nyinyi hamuelewi, mimi niko na PhD, nyinyi hamjasoma. Kuna parents, students and teachers. And this gentleman, the caricature of the president, said, you cannot teach me. Alafu Gen Z ndo anaongea, parents hawezi ongea na walimu, amenyamaza. Gen Z anasema, yes, Zax, you're just unteachable. Hey,
Who is this?
How cartoonists hawaogopi. All right.
This is the Daily Nation, and Office of the Honorable MP, fully funded by who?
The taxpayer.
By the taxpayer.
Wanamuonea juu. Siku hizi hawafiki chini.
Wanakampenia kwa helicopters.
Yes, siku hizi helicopters zimekuwa nyingi, by the way. I'm told some MPs just land on the rooftop of KICC. Yes.
Hawatembei na miguu.
You'll never meet them anywhere.
Must be nice.
Na akifika pale kuna njia anatumia kuenda straight to Parliament. Unajua kuna mahali kuna zile njia za kupita chini. So according to this cartoonist, watu wanamuonea tu kule juu. Campaigning 24/7.
Hakuna capitation bado.
All right.
We shall be there.
Finally, hatujaangalia People Daily. Huyu jamaa wa PNG kuna vile saa ingine huwa anatuonyesha dust. Lakini sawa tu. So those are the cartoons and the dailies that we have. I'll be looking at these with my panelists after the break. Senators Joe Nyoto and Danson Mungatana of Murang'a and Tana River counties respectively will be in studio alongside the Honorable Dr. Mombi Ngaru, who has served as MP for the East Africa Legislative Assembly and as a mayor of Thika Town. Do stand by for that conversation after the break.
We have Monday Blitz as well and conversations lined up for you after that.
All right.
But interact with us on our social media platforms, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, TV47 News KE on X. My handle is at Ann_Dida and the hashtag is Morning Cafe.
My handle on X is at Fred Ndimuli.
Stay with us.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
ready to elevate.
Tunaona mama tena anakimbilia mzee, tunashangaa sababu haiko hapo wakati hiyo, na hiyo love imedumu mpaka sasa. Haya, kujeni hapa, mama wetu Grace ndio huyu na watoto wake MCA Julia hapa hapa na
Kore lena na buang ena sa drage. Kore yote ne nangar yoga na nagare magre kira yo.
Hiyo ndio familia mama namba 5, mama namba 6 alikuwa anaitwa Salina. Huyu anaitwa Pauline Letangule Elias ni maungwa. Sasa nafikiri wakati alikuwa anaolewa nasikia kulikuwa na uongo wengi hapo.
Ruth na Shpai na Daisy kwa niaba
goodbye to our beloved mother-in-law. She touched our lives in many ways. Eternal peace, your son-in-laws. Ingine kwa sababu sitapata nafasi ya kuzungumza tena, kuna jambo moja tu.
All right, good morning once again and welcome to TV47, the Morning Cafe. This is the State of the Nation this morning with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines, very interesting headlines. Some hidden inside the pages, but yes, interesting nonetheless. On the front page of the Standard, Unpresidential Ruto, they call it the bold paper. Yes, calling it as it is. On the People Daily, why Weta has egg on his face. Pain of retirees waiting for their elusive pension is a big headline on the front page of the Star. And of course, many of the papers under the Nation Media Group umbrella paying tribute to His Highness the Aga Khan, who was buried in Egypt this past weekend. And of course, most of the front pages there of those papers dedicated to that piece of news. But the main story is about what's going to happen in Parliament this week once the Houses return, especially the National Assembly, following that court ruling last week declaring the pronouncement by Speaker Moses Wetangula of which party is majority in the House as null and void. Kenya Kwanza, according to the courts, is not the majority party. What happens? What about his position as leader of Ford Kenya vis-a-vis his position as Speaker of the National Assembly? These are just some of the headlines. Allow me to welcome my panelists this morning. And of course, we are very much privileged to have Dr. Mumbingaru with us. Dr. Mumbingaru has served this nation as an MP in the East Africa Legislative Assembly and also as mayor of the great town of Thika. Karibu sana, Dr. Ngaru.
Asante sana, Fred.
Yes.
Glad to see you. Glad to be back.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Next to Dr. Ngaru, we have Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River County, also a member of the African Pan-African Parliament.
Pan-African Parliament.
Yes. Karibu sana. We're expecting that we'll be joined by one more panelist as we continue with these discussions. So it is a very busy week. Of course, it's Valentine's Day later this week, for those who have interest in that. At the weekend, we have the elections for the AUC chairperson in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And tomorrow, we have the National Assembly and the Senate getting back to work after long recess. And that is where we want to start from. The courts threw a spanner in the works last week. So much has been happening, and people had already moved on from this issue on who's majority, who's minority in the National Assembly. Now, with a broad-based government, everything appears to have shifted even further. But with that pronouncement, ODM appears to have smelled blood to some extent, Dr. Ngaru. What do you expect going forward? What is the future of the broad-based government given this pronouncement? Are we saying that ODM, the fact that they are in the broad-based government, will not go for the majority seat in the National Assembly?
Fred, good morning. I thought you would be light on me.
It's that kind of Monday.
Yeah. First of all, I want to pass my condolences to a friend, a speaker of the Senate. He lost his dad. I don't know whether you know that the first time he attempted politics, I was his commissioner. I'm the one who handed him the nomination certificate. So he still remains a friend, though hatuko kwa mlengo moja. And others that have died, we have somebody who died in Kenyatta National Hospital. We have young people still being handled. The families are in pain. The country is at pain. And we keep the families in prayer. ODM. I mentioned to you before that ODM, as a party, we are not in government. Though there is a broad-based government, we donated our experts to help Kenya Kwanza, and therefore that ruling is exciting to most of the party members. It will be not wise for me to comment on any official position. We are waiting for the principals to meet on Wednesday. But immediately after this, we have prayers for our AU candidate at the Bomas of Kenya. So that's where our energies are.
That's today.
Yeah.
And probably we'll talk about the
9:30.
AUC elections later on.
Yeah.
But would it be wise for ODM, because of their position in the broad-based government, not to go for the majority seat?
We are going to go for it.
Yes.
I've listened to the ground. I'm not talking about the leadership of the party, because sometimes there is what the leadership says, but I listen to the ground, what the members, the ordinary members are saying. They are saying, we will go for it. And they are now appreciating that we still have carved that identity of a political party. We are also celebrating our 20th year, which is also something to celebrate about. And I'm sure the leadership of the party is listening to what the ground is saying. We want to go the whole hog.
The ground is saying go for it.
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Senator Mungatana, you've been in the national, in Parliament for a while, and you've seen the changes that occur when leader of majority or this senior parliamentary leadership positions shift. Now, this is one of those times where this shift comes at a very curious time. There's already the broad-based working agreement, but now there's an opportunity for ODM to ascend to a higher position through that court ruling. Do you expect a major shift in the workings of the broad-based, especially given the dynamics in the National Assembly?
First of all, no. I think the most reasonable thing the government should do is to file an appeal. So we're going to appeal that decision. We're going to obtain a stay, God willing. If the Court of Appeal hears us, we'll obtain a stay. So I don't expect much to change immediately. And probably that ruling was delivered on a Friday, so most likely on Monday, we may have an application ready in court. And it will be interesting to see what the judges say, the Court of Appeal. But I expect that we will obtain a stay because we have a good case against that ruling of the three-bench judge. The second thing that I wanted to say now, the broader issue, is that I have not really read the decision to see the thinking behind the judges. But I heard them, because there was very good coverage in KBC where they brought the judges saying the important things, the three of them. So I listened to what the judges were saying briefly. And what I could hear is that they were talking like the numbers. In fact, the statement was there was no evidence that Kenya Kwanza had the majority. So they gave their justifications in law and whatever, and then they came to that decision that it was unconstitutional for the Speaker of the National Assembly to hold that Kenya Kwanza has the majority. But Fred, this is where the discussion about de jure and de facto becomes relevant. You can have a de jure government where the president is the head of state because he was elected and he took the oath. But the de facto government are the people behind him. Maybe you have a very popular person elected as president, but very old or very sick. The de jure government, the de jure head of state, the de jure head of government is the president elected who took the oath. But the de facto government is run by the other operatives. So de facto and de jure concepts are real and they are factual. You can have a minister who is the de facto head of the department or the ministry, but the de jure head of the ministry, but the de facto head are other people operating within the ministry, so that you can have decisions taken and then he's not aware. So what am I saying? I'm saying the wisdom behind setting up political parties tribunal was that disputes of political parties, disputes to do with politics, are first handled by people who are within that tribunal before it goes to the High Court. Now, it appears to me that this one went straight to the High Court. That's why I think there's a disconnect between reality and the decision that was taken. I would dare say that the de facto position was that Wetangula was right, the de facto position. If you counted the number of members of parliament who are loyal to the Kenya Kwanza government, they were the majority. If you count
loyalty, not in terms of the parties that belonged to that coalition.
So let me finish. Let me finish. That's why I'm trying to lay the foundation that there's de facto and that there's jure. The de facto position is that the majority members of parliament were affiliated to Kenya Kwanza, irrespective of the political parties they were elected in, irrespective of those who are also independent. The de facto position is as those affiliated to the Kenya Kwanza government, administration at the time, they were the majority. So Wetangula, on the de facto principle, he was right in ruling that this side
based on
had... I'm telling
perceptions.
You, not perception.
Because the numbers are...
Look, let me tell you. You see, you are coming in before I finish.
No, but I'm challenging what you're saying.
I'm explaining to you de facto. And de facto means what is
Should that be
working.
the basis for the speaker to give such a ruling?
Yes.
De facto.
Yes. And
despite
that's why,
the facts on paper.
Let me tell you.
As recorded by the Registrar of Political Parties.
Let me tell you. The reality of the matter is that at that time, de facto, the number of people who are affiliated to the side of Kenya Kwanza coalition were many. De jure, wait.
A question based on that. Are we saying that then, going forward, we'll have a situation where the position of majority and minority leader keeps on shifting throughout a parliamentary season based on the allegiances that keep shifting? Like now, the movement by ODM to the broad-based government, should that change the majority vis-a-vis minority? Should that position keep shifting?
From where I sit, the de facto position was that the Kenya Kwanza people, the Kenya Kwanza members of parliament in the National Assembly were more. And now that was challenged in court. We have the de jure position. The de jure position is that the minority are supposed to be the majority. But in reality, is that what is holding? Now, let me tell you, when you walk into parliament, and everybody who has been in parliament or the county assemblies, they know, the side of the government is always on the side of the right side of the speaker, okay? And the left side is always the opposition. So, if you come in and you have decided you are affiliated, even when you are an independent person, you are affiliated to the side of the government or the majority side, you sit on this other side. And if you are affiliated to the other side, you could be independent, but you do not want to be affiliated with the government side, you sit on the other side. For me, that is evidence enough. But you have to present pictorials to the court.
But the government could have a minority also. It is possible.
It is. It is. In fact, in France, that principle is called cohabitation. That means you have a very popular person who is elected as president, but he doesn't have majority in the House, which means he doesn't control the House. In America, you can have a situation where the president is elected as president, but he doesn't control the Senate or doesn't control the Congress. So those possibilities are there. But I'm telling you, from where I sit, at the time Honorable Wetangula was making that decision, it was the de facto position.
Okay. Yet there's an issue of the committees are chaired depending on whether or not you're in the majority side or the minority side. And that will come into play. These are prestigious positions that ODM cannot just watch them pass by because of what the senator is trying to explain to us here.
I will understand the senator from 2 points of view. His legal background, and of course he has a political side to please and defend. But we all know, including those people who don't understand de jure and de facto, that Azimio had the majority. Counting them head per head, they had the majority. What happened is immediately after the results were announced, because of what, and I am trying to be polite, political prostitution, because that's what happens. They started looking for members who they could compromise to join and add their numbers. And that's the situation that they are talking about de facto. Those of us who know and believe in a political party are the ones who went to court, even with the arrangements in Parliament. And it has taken so long, it's over 2 years, but the ruling has been done. And as the ruling is done, it is coming at a time when Parliament is at its weakest. And that is not something that my friend here would dare to talk about. And therefore, coming at this time is quite a challenge. And for the person who made the ruling that Kenya Kwanza has the majority, and having been mentioned that you are still a party leader, is something that is not very comfortable for them to talk about. So the appeal and how long it takes and what the outcome is going to be is, of course, important.
Do you see this affecting the relationship?
But that's where I'm coming. But the message has already been pronounced, and the country knows. Whenever I walk across town and I find the speaker, I'll look at him with an eye that tells him, you are holding an illegal title. The decent thing to do, and for this country to heal, is probably for them to resign. And I am hoping that on Wednesday, the Azimio top leadership will consider two things. That de facto and
de
jure that my colleague is talking about, but more than anything, look at a position that will stabilize the country, but also bring to an end the madness of assumption. Yeah? To think that I'm going to survive for another 1 year because there is going to be an appeal. Somebody has to take the courage to say this madness has to stop.
You are a lawyer. You are a lawyer, Senator, and she's raised a big issue on, even away from the parliamentary majority, on the issue of the speakers of both houses of parliament occupying those positions and still occupying the positions of party leaders of their respective parties. That is something that even the court pronounced itself on the matter. That will affect both houses.
Okay, let me come to that, but I wanted to make it even more clearer. When you talked about committees, when Honorable was being asked about committees, now the actual facts reveal themselves. Committees, Fred, are constituted, and for those Kenyans listening to me, in Parliament, for you to be a chair of a committee, you have to be elected by your fellow parliamentarians. You have to, as a date is set, the clerk of the National Assembly or Senate would set a date when the members of that committee sit to elect the leadership. That's the first business of the committee. In fact, the only business of the committee. The clerk will call the meeting to order, elections are held, and then the person who garners the majority becomes the chair and the vice chair. Now, ordinarily, except these committees that are supposed to be watchdog committees like the Senate Public Accounts, Senate Investments and Special Funds Accounts Committee. Those two committees are supposed to go to the opposition. So those ones, the opposition must sit as chair. So those
are the ones that will be affected by this decision.
Opposition must sit as chair. Now let's go to all the other committees. Okay. When you go to the sitting to elect, assuming that you've given a ruling that the minority are the majority, when you go to sit in the sittings, all those affiliated to that side will give you the chair. You will go to another committee, they'll give you the chair. You will go to another committee, they'll give you the chair. So that ruling in parliamentary language does not make any sense.
But you do accept, as far as the park and peak committees, that will have to change, if at all this stays.
According to the standing orders, the peak and the park are supposed to be chaired by the opposition, okay? But I'm also looking at this situation that you are then denying the opposition the opportunity to actually act as watchdog, because you go for elections. So let's just assume that they operationalize the ruling. They will go for elections. Kenya Kwanza Coalition will take all the seats in the committees, that's for sure, unless there's negotiation. And then Kenya Kwanza again will sit in the watchdog committees as chair. Do you see how ridiculous that whole arrangement is? Because the reality is they have the numbers. De facto is they have the numbers. So they will sit and take all those committee seats all the other seats together with the opposition seats, the watchdog committee seats. It doesn't make sense. So I'm saying sometimes I think the courts should be invited to, first of all, allow the political parties tribunal to settle the disputes before they come on appeal to the High Court. Otherwise, it gives a ridiculous situation like I've explained to you, that now the opposition will be denied even sitting on the watchdog committees. Now, let me come to the other issue of whether the speaker should be chairing, should be party leader in his position. The court has said that no, the speaker's position is supposed to be neutral. So you are not supposed to be affiliated to any political party. Okay? Now, if you come to the Senate, our speaker, Kingi, has relinquished his position as the leader of that party. I have not seen him do anything to do with PAA. his political party. And I've seen like other people have been pushed to take over that position. That's why you don't see any issues around political parties with our speaker. On the other hand, the National Assembly speaker, that was the subject matter of this judgment, they were saying you cannot be active member of your political party and at the same time, you're the speaker of the National Assembly. Now, again, this is interesting. Eh? This is very interesting because the speaker sits as the chair of the House. In fact, when you go to a committee of the whole, the speaker is the chair of the House. If you come to committees, the committees belong to people who are in political parties. They are also elected as members. If I'm UDA and I'm elected chair of my committee, I'm sitting as the chair of that committee. Does that take away my impartiality when I'm sitting there as chair, when I'm ruling? In fact, in most occasions, there's hardly anything to do with political parties. I want to say this again. If this matter was being heard by a political party's tribunal, maybe the visualization or the ruling would have been different. Because in the US, for example, the vice president, like now J.D. Vance, is actually the automatic speaker of the Senate. Okay? And he's obviously associated and he is a Republican. In the US, that's how it is. So there is nothing. In fact, that ruling to any practitioner of politics, it's wrong on the face of it.
The way you cannot, what is a bit different. Seeing the Speaker of the National Assembly accompanying the President, standing on top of his car, campaigning with the President, then coming back and he's still expected to act as a neutral arbiter in the National Assembly. There's something off about that, Dr. Garu.
Fred, I want to say this with a lot of respect to my colleague. In the formation of committees, I've been a member of Parliament, and when you are the mayor, you are also the Speaker of the House. And there are some things that we talk here that we don't tell our audience are done behind the scenes. Before the committees are formed, on that first day, word has passed that it is this political party that is going to take the chairmanship, and our candidate is so and so. So the voting is good, but it has been predetermined in some sittings before the actual sitting. So when my colleague says it's by voting, you come there, all the members of the committee, and you vote, it's a good thing. But I think we also owe it to ourselves to explain what happens behind the scenes. And this is what is affecting our parliamentary system. Apart from that, there are rumors, and I'm sure you have heard them, that there's some transactions that are done. I mean, monetary transactions for this position. I want this position. How much does it cost? It happens in vetting. It happens in so many other parliamentary committee businesses. And I want to inform my colleague that the public, which you all listen to, including you, has very little. What is remaining is absolutely below. They have no faith in our parliamentary system. And we will have to redeem ourselves from having political parties that can stand and say, this one, though it smells good, I'm not going to put it in my mouth. And this is where we can talk about tribunals and we can talk about the legal aspect and whatever is happening. But until we have it in our hearts and minds, we have to be bold enough to correct the mess in our county assemblies, in our National Assembly, in our Senate, and in the executive.
All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we continue with this conversation. Now, what happens even within the Kenya Kwanza formation? Because there has been pressure, there's been a push for some of these affiliate parties to dissolve and join the main UDA party. What happens now that the Speaker of the National Assembly is being told that he can no longer be party leader? It's getting messy. That after the break.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up...
Your business deserves the best.
All right, welcome back. This is still Morning Cafe on TV 47. We continue with our discussions on the main headlines. The front page of the People Daily reads, why Weta has egg on face. That's a big debate. This morning, as we anticipate the return of the National Assembly from a 2-month recess, the fact that the court pronounced itself on who should be the majority vis-a-vis minority in the House, as well as Speaker Wetangula's position as Speaker and also as party leader of Ford Kenya. This is the argument we're having, and this is the debate we're having. And before we continue the conversation, allow me to welcome onto the panel Joe Nyoto, Senator Murang'a County. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Fred.
You found us right in the middle of this debate. So allow me, I had asked you a question, Senator Mungatana. Your party or your coalition, Kenya Kwanza, has been keen on ensuring that these affiliate parties around UDA dissolve and merge with the UDA party. You've seen what happened with the ANC party. Ford Kenya would have been the next. Now we're seeing extra push, not from the direction of the party, but from the courts to actually tell the Speaker you can no longer be party leader. Definitely this would work for UDA if Speaker Wetangula would agree to fold his party and join UDA. Don't you think that that is something good for your party?
As UDA, we would like as many political parties and many political formations to join us, because the vision we have is similar to what ANC has. You know, in ANC, you can join ANC as an individual. Also, there are movements or other political parties like the South African Communist Party that are also
You're
affiliated.
talking about ANC in South Africa.
The ANC, or the African National Congress in South Africa. You know, they have an arrangement where you can join as a coalition, you can also join as an individual. So for us, we would like as many. So just to be clear, we would like as many political parties and as many individuals to join us, because our vision is to create a big political movement. That settled, I wanted to say this again, that the ruling by the court is really ridiculous. Why? Because the Speaker of the US, I just given an example, technically, and we call it Speaker per tempore, is the Deputy President or the Vice President of the US. He's the one who sits, especially when it comes to pronouncing the formal pronunciation, who is the new president. So, and if you come to the lower house, Nancy Pelosi, who was a Democrat for many years, sat there, I think 27 years as a speaker. And it doesn't mean that because I'm in UDA, I am speaker in the House, or I am a chair of a committee. It doesn't mean that I am biased. The deputy speaker, in fact, is an elected senator for us. The deputy speaker is an elected member of parliament for the National Assembly. Now, does it mean that he is supposed to be an independent? No, he can be from any political party.
But there's a difference between belonging to a political party and being the party leader of that party. That's a difference here, that the pronunciation by the court is not that he's a member of a party, that he's a party leader and also speaker.
There is no difference. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There is absolutely no difference. Your decisions, when you are seated there as chair of the House, chair of the committee, you cannot call X Y, Y, X when you have a position as a speaker. But I also wanted to make a comment about what my colleague, Mheshimiwa Mumbi, has said, that committees, people are chosen because of other factors like monetary exchanges. I don't know. But in our time, I don't know when she was there, but in our time, I'm not aware of anything like that. Honorable Ruto here is our chair for education. And I can guarantee you that he didn't give money to anyone for him to get that position. What happens, and also I am the head of delegation for Pan-African, chair of the Pan-African Parliament. I also didn't give money for anybody to choose me. What happens and what happened in our time, I don't know previously, but I can speak with authority what happened. We sat and negotiated, okay? We looked at regional balance, we looked at many other things, and we said, okay, you guys, for you guys who are in Committee of Health, you are going to support Senator Mandago when it comes to the voting. And he was elected. You guys who are in infrastructure, and so we sat and decided those factors. And for the House leadership, again, so for committees, this is what happens. You sit, you plan, and then you come and do an election. For House leadership, that is the majority leader and all that, the deputy majority leader, the whip, deputy whip, all those, that leadership, that is not an election that is done in the House. What happens is the political party meets outside, and then they do their election there, and then they come and inform the speaker that this is our majority leader. Okay. Unlike committees, unlike the standing committees. Okay. So in that kind of scenario, if you are, let's say, sitting there, you want to be majority leader, you want to be, let's say, take over from Aaron Cheruiyot, and as the Kenya Kwanza Coalition senators, we are sitting there, do I actually give money to my colleagues for them to choose me as leader? No, there are many other factors you consider. including regional balance, including what, in fact, for the party, for the House leadership, what we did was that we had a huge retreat in Naivasha for the party. And then the decision to designate who was going to be in the House leadership was given
and I want us to allow Senator to comment on this issue before we move to another
So he sat and helped to consolidate the negotiations for the House leadership. For the others, we sat and made those decisions.
So Senator Nyuto, I want to give you an opportunity to comment on this because your colleague Senator here feels, Bwana Mungetana, that the court ruling may not have much effect on the workings of the National Assembly, even in terms of who's majority, who's minority. In fact, he opines that very quickly the executive side of government will rush to Parliament, challenge that ruling, appeal that ruling, and probably that will leave everything.
We'll run to court, not Parliament.
Or we'll run to the Court of Appeal and I challenge that ruling so that everything stays as it is. But we are also aware that there was a plan within the Kenya Kwanza workings in Parliament to change the committee leadership because following the impeachment of the former deputy president, that was set to affect a lot of these committees. Already plans were there, as you say, this is worked out at the party level. Those plans were there. Now, this ruling by the court could change a lot of that. Do you expect, I know you're still a member of UDA, yes. Do you expect that this is will be a proper span in the works on how, and probably disrupt even the kind of plans UDA had for Parliament?
Thank you very much, and I respect Senator Mungetana. He's a renowned lawyer, and he does a lot of research, and I respect him for that. But I think, I'm not a lawyer myself, but of course, I don't even think that the leeway that Kenya Kwanza is going to use to remain the majority will be through the courts. What I suspect they may do, of course, because it's a mischievous coalition, what I expected to do is to enter into a quick coalition, because looking at the judgment, it was made based on the facts and the conditions that prevailed as at the time that this particular petition was taken to court. And the major, if you looked at the ruling, the major reason why the judges ruled the way they did is because especially UDM and these other parties that had joined joined Kenya Kwanza in this coalition had done so before the requirement that you cannot, leave a coalition before 3 months elapse after a general election. But what I suspect, or I expect Kenya Kwanza will do, is to enter into a quick coalition, like I say, deposit it with the registrar of political parties, and now, of course, as of now, retain the majority status. So I don't expect anything to change. In fact, I think Senator Mungetana is economical with the truth when he says they're going to go to court. I think they're going to use that as a mischief and not go to court because, of course, court processes can be very long. And Kenya Kwanza will not want to lose this particular position as of now. As for Speaker Moses Wetangula, I strongly differ with Senator Mungetana. I mean, there is a reason why, for example, and the same happened to Speaker Wetangula. He had been elected as a senator for Bungoma, but he had to resign in order for him to assume the office of Speaker. There is a reason why you are not allowed to serve as a member of Parliament and as Speaker at the same time. Of course, the circumstances for the Deputy Speaker are different. I mean, if you say that you can still be party leader and, of course, officiate matters at National Assembly, then you will not be fair because, in fact, if you ask me, I can tell you that the ruling, the direction that Speaker Wetangula made, that Kenya Kwanza was a majority, was because, of course, his party was in Kenya Kwanza. And so he cannot be, a fair judge when he has some interest as a party leader. I mean, just also look at a situation where there are two particular members of Parliament who want to contribute to a particular matter that Speaker Wetangula, being a party leader, has an interest in. I mean, he has the discretion to favor by, and you know, whoever is given an opportunity to speak by the speaker is the one that gets an opportunity. I mean, he will find himself favoring, maybe members of his party or members from his particular coalition. And so I think it's only fair that he relinquishes one of the positions, either remain as speaker and relinquish the position of party leader for Kenya, or then be speaker, or then be contented with being party leader of Ford Kenya and relinquish the seat of speaker. So I think that is what I would look at it. As for chairs of committees and who is elected, and I didn't, I came in late. I didn't get exactly, I was not able to get the exact argument by Honorable Mubingaru. But it is true. I agree with Senator Mungatana. I'm chair for education. I don't know whether he knows up to when, because of course we know that
is set to change.
Of course, you know the side that I belong to, and it's true. I never gave anybody any money, but of course there was horse trading at the party level. That members of our coalition, Kenya Kwanza, would elect so and so as chair. So there was that horse trading. But I know some committees, and allow me not to mention them, where money changed hands.
So it is true.
It does sometimes. Okay. Especially where I know people who did some coup d'etat in court. I mean, where their party, not our side, their party had preferred a particular senator to be chair of a particular committee. But then maybe the senator designated to be the chair is a new senator. So you find, a second-term senator who knows how to go about these things. So, of course, he does something with the members, and,
that by
of course,
there's some exchange here.
Well, maybe not money exactly, I don't know, but there could be some other influence.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. But I want us now to move from that, because I know this, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I have been vindicated. 2 UDA members. I have been vindicated.
All right. I know this will be the biggest discussion, Senator
Before we
Mungatana,
leave that one,
because we spent too much time here.
No, but can I just tell the public who are listening that midterm, all the committees must be restructured.
Yes.
Midterm, that is...
And that is the expectation this time around.
That's not... because, I don't know, people have changed, people have done what, there's a court ruling. No. The moment we are resuming this time, whether there was any politics or no politics, that is the rule of Parliament. All committees,
and so all these decisions, even the one by the court, are coming at a very interesting time.
They must be reconstituted. That is the law. And then I need also to tell you that as speaker, when you are sitting, and my colleague knows, when I'm sitting here, there is absolutely no reason for me to give my side more time than the other side, because normally, Fred, let me finish. The speaker would give the right side.
I've given you an opportunity before.
The speaker will give the other side. So how do you favor one side?
Okay. Allow us to move on from this discussion. This discussion will definitely continue. How the workings of the National Assembly and the Senate goes on with the pronouncement by the courts will be a matter that we'll have to wait and see. Whether it goes back to court or, as Senator Nyoto says, there'll be some mischief here and there. We'll be here to report on it. I want us to take a look at the headline on the front page of the Standard. This paper says it is a bold paper. Unpresidential Ruto. Fiery words. President William Ruto's sharp tongue. I think this is the first time we're hearing of this description. President William Ruto's sharp tongue is causing ripples across the country, from branding critics stupid to invoking evil spirits. His rhetoric is drawing backlash from clergy, lawyers, and political analysts. Once seen as a pious leader, his unfiltered remarks now raise questions about leadership, tolerance, and statesmanship. The story is on page 4 of the Standard. Even without looking at the story, I think we have all the details here. Dr. Mubingaru, do you agree? Because fine, many may say that this probably is almost going overboard. We've not had this kind of description of our head of state. I cannot remember in my years seeing it getting this bad. Do you agree with this kind of description that the president may have gotten to a point where he's acting unpresidential?
I agree. I agree with that bold statement and assessment. And I think as a country, we have to come to a stage where the truth must be spoken to the powers that be. You know, we kind of would have wished it away, but it has continued. It has continued. If I would pick a few, not that they were not in the papers, they were in the papers, but we let it pass. And I will pick on only the ones that he has spoken when he's the head of state. At one time, I picked one that he said, the sword is not for ya kukata mboga. That, as far as I'm concerned, was unpresidential. And then, hiyo ingine ya kuita watu stupid is not very presidential. He has a right to get angry, and he is democratic to air your anger. But if Senator Nyoto in Muranga stood in front of Harare and spoke in our mother tongue and used some of that language, he would have a big job to reclaim that seat. And that is just one county. And when it comes to a head of state, and you have to justify the positions and policy decisions that you are making because of the level of education, and you are telling everybody else that they've got small brains, it is unpresidential. Okay. And the evil spirits, it's not about evil spirits. I'm picking things that have been in the papers. I thought as a head of state, he would be careful in selecting the words he speaks to the public. Because whether I am from the mountain or he's from the coast or from wherever, he is our father, and a symbol of nationhood, maturity, and many other things. So he's missed the marks.
All right.
In a span of about 4 months, he's gone overboard. Okay. He's gone overboard.
Is the president getting frustrated? Because he should be the symbol of unity. And I've seen people trying to defend his words and comparing him even to Mwai Kibaki and saying Mwai Kibaki may have used some unpalatable words in some instances. But whenever the retired president, or God rest his soul in peace, Mwai Kibaki spoke, it was met with laughter. He never said those words in anger. He was never described as having a sharp tongue. There was no sharpness, or he never targeted anyone. But this time around, the president appears to be getting angry at people. And these words are expressed in anger. Is the president getting frustrated?
What my colleague Mheshimiwa has said, there's a lot of truth in what you said. Definitely, as a leader, we are expected to have control over things and to be measured. I think that's the word, to be measured. But I wanted you to situate the occasion that caused the president to speak harshly. You have organized your own meeting, or it has been organized by your people, the governor there and the leadership there. And it costs money, it costs, and this is a fact, because we are all here politicians. If you organize a meeting for ODM, it is bad manners for me to bring UDA people there to heckle you. If I organize a meeting as UDA, it is bad manners for any other political party to bring people to heckle me. What you should do is to wait for me to go, then call your own meeting and say everything you want to say. So for the head of state, that meeting basically was quite rowdy, because I saw clips of other leaders speaking, and every leader who was trying to speak, there are these people who would heckle them. So you are not able to explain your points. You are not able to explain the issues, the facts, and all that, and you can feel it gets difficult in those
frustration, right?
In those circumstances. So sometimes, especially if, let's say, I have something good to tell you, and the other people are just making sure that I don't pass that message, you can get a bit unsettled. Let me put it that way. So for me, I wanted to say that there's definitely a point in us leaders, all of us being measured, but there is also a point in learning to have neat political manners. If I want to say something, it's my meeting, I've incurred expenses, respect that. I will also respect you when you put up your meeting to say what you want to say against me. I mean, it's a free country. So I don't think what was going on there was a good thing. And it was just, Isiolo was not good. And all the other places that the president spent time in were okay. But Isiolo, it seemed there were issues there. Every leader who was trying to speak, there were problems.
Yeah, this headline speaks of instances beyond what happened in Isiolo. When he referred to evil spirits, was at a very calm event, and he was talking about general opposition to his policies, and said there appears to be some evil spirits, and no one was heckling him then.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely, the president is getting frustrated generally.
I disagree with you, Fred. You know, it depends where you are situating the meeting. I remember a time when our former president, when we were pushing him, at that time we were on the other side together, when we were pushing him to run, and State House then under Mwai Kibaki was telling him, no, he shouldn't run, we should support Mudavadi. I remember us as TNA at that time cornering him in a meeting of the party and telling him, what is the issue here? We want you to run, not Mudavadi. And what he said was that, iko mapepo ambao waliniingia ndio nikakubali hiyo deal. You see? And then we told him, no, if you accepted those are your issues, for us, we want you to run. But it's so, this issue of using mapepos, let me situate it by saying sometimes you can't explain something. So you believe that if you are a person who is from the church, you've been brought up in church, the only thing you can think of to explain it is that there must be some evil spirits.
Especially someone from church, because he was once seen as a very pious leader. Some of the words coming out of the mouth of the president, many people are wondering,
Fred, you are cutting me off. You are cutting me off. Can I finish my sentence? Can I finish my sentence? I'm trying to tell you that if you are coming from a religious background, and what you have done or what is being done doesn't make sense, that's when you say there must be evil spirits. The same way Uhuru said there were evil spirits which were disturbing me or whatever, and that decision was in it. So the same way the president is in front of people and they say, I've done this, I've explained this, I've done this. So if it can't be explained, there must be some evil spirit moving around. It's not in a bad way.
Senator.
That example, Uhuru then was not the head of state.
He was not head of state when he talked about that.
He wasn't.
The president's position is totally different. He's not aspiring to do that. He's not campaigning for the seat. He's already president. He's a symbol of unity for this country. Getting angry at a certain group of this nation, surely, Senator, do you agree?
One thing that I must say of my colleague, Senator Mungatana, Senator Mungatana has not been himself lately. Because he is defending things that are indefensible. Why do I say this? If you have listened to his argument, he has been very crafty. He just wants to talk about the situations where the president talked about evil spirits. And when the president has called people stupid, he wants to say, he wants to like assume it's only when he was in Isiolo where he was provoked. But I want to remind Senator Mungatana, the president has said very many times that anybody that opposes vaccination of animals is stupid without any provocation at all. You know, the president has called people, has been very unkind to people and say they are stupid because they have never set their foot at the airport, and that's why they are opposing the Adani deal. You remember that time? He has called people stupid so many times. Senator Mungatana does not want to, address the other situations where without any provocation, the president has called the people of Kenya stupid. Look at the other day, he was saying that he has a PhD. Needless to say that somebody countered and said that actually he knows that his thesis was written by somebody. And so, of course, whether you have a PhD or not, these degrees, and we thank God, we also have them. We may not be PhDs, but then they do not directly translate into wisdom. And I'm not trying to insinuate that the president is not wise. So what I'm trying to say is let the president respect Kenyans. When you are, that dismissive of people who do not have PhDs like you, when you are dismissive of people who have never set foot at the airport, and so you think and you argue that they are not supposed to question any deal that you make about the airport. When you tell somebody that he should not talk about animals because he's a mung beans, farmer, Senator Mungatana is avoiding these issues. But I want to agree with you in the headline that the president is very frustrated. And why is the president frustrated? One, because the president is being exposed every day, the lies he told, especially in the mountain. The second deputy president has exposed the lies. And he has actually warned the people of Western that the same script, Musangarire, Muremuoyo, is the same script he used. This exposure is making the president feel very frustrated because at least now people know him. Everybody know him. And so he can only react by, insulting people. The president is intolerant. He does not tolerate anybody that holds a different view or a view that is different from his. And when, of course, because we wonder sometimes what his interests are, why he would be so bitter with the people opposing vaccination of animals. And the people are just asking, it's good to vaccinate animals, but have we given Kenyans, enough and good health care before we go to animals? And talk to pastoralists, Fred. They'll tell you they know how to vaccinate the animals. The government doesn't have to do it for them. Kenyans are just questioning, why don't we care? Why don't we give a good health care to humans before we go to animals? The president, and sometimes you wonder then what his interest is. So that when you hear people saying that there is some interest in the billions that will go to that, then you are persuaded to start, believing there is an interest because you see the president so angry about this. So when you look at Farah Maalim's insult to women in Kenya, and especially mothers, in the presence of the president, and that was in Uasin-Gishu, in the president's home county. What provocation was there? And the president never, even today, he has never ever, disassociated himself from the insult by Farah Maalim. So it's not about provocation.
Has the president contributed to this? Has he put himself too much out there? Is it too visible and too available to Kenyans that they can openly show him that kind of opposition and making him this frustrated?
Fred, I will say, without any fear of contradiction, that the social media and communications field during the term of Kibaki and the late President Moi was totally different. And the way it is today is not even the way it was during President Uhuru's time. I remember President Uhuru saying, hata nyama ni ya kufunga gazeti, ni ya kufunga nyama.
And he was not to get angry a lot, but he never used sharp words.
That's why I'm coming. And I heard he deactivated the Facebook and whatever else. But he did not come to this point of coming openly to the public in meetings and using that kind of language. So there is a matter of personal management of anger as far as I'm concerned. And probably those who work around the president are not helping him. And probably we don't know whether when they tell him, he takes it seriously, but I know from my working in the office of my boss, that there's somebody who takes notes even when the crowd is reacting, and sometimes can mention, don't give attention to this. And a small paper is passed by, and they do it. My two colleagues here know that they have people, technical people who advise from behind. So as far as I'm concerned, and as an observer, the president is exposed. And he's not exposed in a good way. And he's not able to manage that exposure. So he probably needs to redo his team and manage it differently. Then he's created so many enemies outside here. Yeah. Any observer knows that I'm dealing with two UDA members, and they're speaking.
You would not tell they're from the same party.
Yeah, that's them. I am in the broad-based, but
you're actually in ODM.
I am in ODM.
But in UDA as well.
No, I'm not in UDA, and I will never change my political party. And this is what I'm saying, that until probably we get back to political parties and start doing neat things so that those people who are processed through the political party systems are people who will get out there and know that they do not only carry themselves, that Senator Mugatana represents his constituency, and he represents that title, the title senator, because it represents other wider areas. And then even from a professional point of view, he's a lawyer. I think we need to encourage those who are doing law and other professions, that even as a leader, there is something that you are going to stand on principle to say, this one does not belong in this area of the profession that I so dearly respect and identify myself with. So we have got a lot of soul searching to do.
The president seems to be taking a lot of things personally. And this is because he has taken over the mantle of preaching the government's policy, basically more than anyone else in his government. Could that be said that that problem, he brought it upon himself, that's why he's getting so angry so fast at so many different groupings?
Okay, let me just say this. First, I really admire the fact that in this country, We are free to say what we want. It's a thriving democracy. We will say our bit, we'll go out here and we'll have a cup of tea. That is what I love about my country, because when we go to the African Parliament in Johannesburg, it's not the same with so many African countries. So I will protect that, and I will say it's good because it helps us to become better. But having said that, I honestly, Fred, do not see the reason, apart from doing the normal politics, saying the normal political things, there is absolutely no reason for the president to be frustrated. Look, we have managed the debt situation. And I want you to give me time. We have, because you can't be short.
Give us a very long
We have
list.
managed the debt situation. We have stabilized the shilling. We have been able to improve education. We have employed 79,000 teachers, more than any other head of state before him. We have stabilized the prices of fertilizer from 7,000 a bag to 2,500. There's bumper harvest. We have introduced new systems for healthcare that they may have some issues, but it eventually, like after some time, it will start working the way it should. You know, the SHIF and the SHA. We have started, we have sorted out that issue of the roads, because roads were having an issue because many of the roads were stuck because the arrangement for the finance was not there. The president has been negotiating on that.
You know, we could start questioning all that, but I don't want because of time.
I know, but I'm trying to tell you, even at the international level and at the regional level, Kenya has been an outstanding nation so far. So all these internal politics, attacks against the president, saying that he is angry and whatever, you know, those are internal issues. And those are issues that are really, truly not significant in this sense.
They're significant enough to be
I
on the
come
front
from
page
Tana River. Okay, I come from Tana River, where we have a lot of herders as well as farmers. I come from the farming community, but we are surrounded by herders. And many of them have accepted that vaccination. Why? Because it would help us access markets outside this country. Where the story of first they started to sell the story of Bill Gates. Then now they are saying there's money to be made by somebody. I mean, sometimes you can get quite angry because when you know that what you are doing is for the benefit of the people.
So you accept he is angry?
No, sometimes you can get unsettled. Let me use the word unsettled. Because you know, Fred, let me tell you, we have been assisting the farmers who are doing coffee, tea, pyrethrum, and now sugarcane. Now, there are these farmers who are also doing cattle keeping. What is wrong with assisting them? Access proper market outside. And the proper markets outside are saying, look, you have to vaccinate these animals in this way. What is wrong with saying this? And now to answer you, I want to agree with you that a lot of the ministers are not speaking as loudly as they should. And I wanted to encourage the people, the committee that is doing appointments, the vetting. I think that's where we get it wrong. Because some people are brought there to be vetted to be cabinet secretaries. And the one question that I believe should be asked, Fred, is are you able to articulate the policies of government? Are you able to be out there to say what government needs to say? Because if maybe more ministers were out there, then the president would be speaking less. So I think we need to have more ministers holding fort in their departments and speaking, and less this quietness is not helping.
Because of time, allow me to move from that issue. We'll just discuss one more as you make your final comments, and that's what we expect at the end of this week. The AUC elections, AUC chairperson's elections come this week on Saturday, 15th of February. A lot of people have talked and said that this will be a game changer in terms of our local politics, whether or not Raila is successful there. Senator John Nyoto, we start with you as you make your final comments.
I will, but kindly allow me a second or so to say the problems we are having with the president is he's too available and he's doing everything. And when Senator Mugatana says ministers are not speaking as much as they should, the issue is, are they given the space? I mean, because this is a president who has told ministers, I know more than you do in your ministries. So you will not, as a minister, speak because you are not sure that the president, that you are saying what the president would want to be said. And that is clearly where the problem is. Because this vaccination, please allow me to say something, Fred. I mean, if you talk to pastoralists, they'll tell you that they would value an insurance policy or, arrangement for their animals when the drought hits than this vaccination, because they do that. So the question then is, are we doing public participation before we introduce some of these, some of these programs from nowhere? I mean, and that's why people are suspecting that there are deals that have been cut. So, I mean, we have to be realistic.
But
talking about AUC elections, I think the best thing for me would be to wait and see. Because, of course, I think so many things are likely to change. If Raila Odinga, for example, loses his bid for the chairmanship of AUC, of course, Raila will have to come back and do local politics, which President Ruto dreads. Because I can tell you, Fred, today, President Ruto is hanging on the coattails of Raila Amolo Odinga. Without Odinga, without Raila Amolo Odinga, I do not even think that President Ruto would defend his seat. If Raila is on the opposite side, then you can see how exposed he will be. He may not even run. Actually, he may not defend his seat. The only hope that Ruto has today is that Raila is going to support him in 2027. Without him, and I dare repeat, President Ruto may not even defend his seat because, of course, he may not even be able to garner even 2 million votes. And so, the results of this election will have reverberating consequences on the political landscape in this country. Okay. If Raila wins, he could still win, go serve for the remainder of, before 2027, and still come back and vie for the presidency. And you can imagine Raila, Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Matiang'i coming together. I tell you, President Ruto would even run away from this country even before elections are held.
All right. Dr. Ngaro.
Fred, we are waiting for Friday.
You're holding prayers today, right?
Yes, we are going for prayers. ODM, we are going for prayers at the Bombers.
Are these are special prayers for the election?
Yeah, for the elections of our candidate at the AU. I'll leave on Wednesday for Addis Ababa. But we are doing very well. And we are hoping that we'll do a good thing. But let me also tell you what I pick from the ground. And when I talk about the ground, I'm not talking about ground ya Molima. That's the new one, Molima, inaitwa Molima. I have been told by thousands and thousands of Kenyans that they are praying that my party boss does not make it in the AU. And I have asked them, why? He's given himself 5 times in this country. You know what has happened. Now you are praying that he doesn't make it. How mean can you be? And they are telling me, and I want my neighbor here to hear, there's only one man who can handle the current. So when he goes away, we are finished. I'm putting it in the very, very local language that they are using. And they don't know what to do. And I'm glad that the last bit of Senator Nyoto is that we are praying that even after he makes it, he has the courage to jump out and come back for two things. All his politics, he's fought for this country. We want to reward him for that. That's what they are saying. Number two, we want him to be with the others, to manage what we have. And my prayer, you know, he's my boss for many years, is that he makes it. And we will support him.
All right.
Thank you.
Sarah. Finally, Senator, you have exactly a minute and a half.
When it comes to me, you limit.
No worries.
But let me just say, I like Honorable Mumbi Ngaru's assessment because she's being honest when she says the one person who can challenge William Ruto, if he's not there, then they are finished. But I'll only add that even if he's there, we will still defeat. And may I have Kenyans remember that the conditions under which William Ruto won the last election, Raila was in government, all these other people were in government, and it was difficult, very difficult to campaign and win. And Mheshimiwa, for him to say that Honorable William Ruto will not defend or he will run away, I am sure that he's speaking politics. So let me just say it's a free country. But I can tell you that in William Ruto, we have a formidable candidate for 2027. Coming to Honorable Raila Odinga, let me say that I sit in the African Parliament. And when we were there last, I'm the one who moved the motion to open up these candidates, the 5 candidates who are there, to come and debate in the House so that we can hear their policies, because this has never happened before. Unfortunately, we only stay there for a week or sometimes 2 weeks. So it could not be organized. But AUC picked it up, and you could hear when Raila was speaking, the only other candidate who tried to come close to him was the Djibouti foreign minister. But on the whole, he has the support of many, many, many countries. And in the aspect of age, I've said this many times, the age of Honorable Raila, in Africa, most people respect elderly people. So he's able to speak, and having been a prime minister, you know, and having been in this business, he's able to speak to a lot of the younger presidents and tell them, okay, let's hold this thing, let's control, he can influence, you know, from behind the scenes to get the kind of results that we require. So Raila is a good candidate and he has good support. And, you know, as to whether he will win or not, I am confident that he will win. But whether he will come back and win against William, I'm confident that he will lose if he came back.
Thank you so much, Senator Danson Mungatana of Tana River, Joe Nyoto, Senator Murang'a County, and Dr. Mumbi Ngaru, former MP, East Africa Legislative Assembly, who has also served as a mayor of Thika Town. Thank you so much, our panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Very interesting headlines today. And Presidential Ruto, that's a big one on the front page, I tell you, of the Standard, the bold paper. After the break, Monday Blitz coming up. So your latest sports news and discussions with Fred Arocho and Shatterboy. Do stand by for that. Other conversations also later on Morning Cafe. My name is Fred Indemuli. Have a lovely day.